All what I felt is that I'm just not in Syria anymore.
You just don't take anything with you, just small bag with some necessities.
All the time I was worried about my family.
I lost one of my best friends.
It was like thousands of people, crossing the same route.
The police catch me there and they sent me back to Greece.
I don't really care about nationalities anymore, just what is the person.
My name is Wafa Mustafa. I'm doing humanities, arts, and social thoughts here. I come from a small village in the middle of Syria. So I basically moved to another city to study journalism and media. I actually went in protests that supported the revolution. And a few months later, I got arrested by the regime in Damascus. And then when I got released, I went back to college, but and then I was told that I'm not a student there anymore. 3 months later, my dad got arrested from Damascus, and it was me, my mother, and my youngest sister, Rina, and we fled to Turkey. One of us had to work because we needed money and we knew no one, and we didn't get like any help from anyone. For 3 years I worked in Turkey with a radio station, and then with a newspaper, and then with a website as an editor and a reporter. At the beginning I was working for something like 16-17 hours. We didn't really have time to even to feel the absence of my father. So the thing is that in Syria I always had the hope that it's fine, I will just continue my studies again at some point. But in Turkey it felt like that's it, this is how my life gonna be for the rest of my life. I decided with help of my sister to apply to Bard College Berlin. At the beginning I felt like a Pokemon. I was even too scared to say anything in the class. I was too scared that they are gonna ask me to say my name, and I would have a heart attack if I have to say my name. And then the classes started and it got really better. Also, teachers were so helpful. They motivated me because they felt that, and they kept telling me that it's not about the language, it's about the thoughts. And you have the good thinking, you just need to say it. Now I'm just thinking of this time as a good time to collect knowledge, and then eventually I believe that I will go back to Syria.
My name is Muhannad Kaikuni. I'm second year student at Bard College. I born in Aleppo and I grew up in Aleppo. I studied my university in Latakia. I didn't graduate because when the revolution started in Syria, I joined to the demonstration. And this was the reason that I left Syria, basically, to work outside and to send money to my family, because our house destroyed by the regime. In Lebanon, I worked different things, I worked delivery boy, construction, buildings, and some restaurant. And this was the hardest part in this journey, because Lebanon was a very racist country. Then I moved to Turkey and I found hairdresser work, which was something that I never done before. I thought this will be 1 year or something, and then everything will finish in Syria, so I will go back. But after these years, I just realized that it's hard to end this war in Syria. So I started to think to back again to the college. Then I decided to go to Europe and to search for a university there. And so the journey started from Izmir in Turkey. Took the boat from Izmir to Greece, to Macedonia, and then to Serbia, to Hungary, and then to Germany. Yeah, the whole journey took with me 1 month, but I didn't pay as much as the people, because many of my friends, they just helped me and they were sending to me money. First day I arrived to Germany, I started to make contact with like German society. Yeah, so one by one, like from one to one, so I start to have a big network. Through these people, I know about BARD and I applied for it. And I am learning so much, and like I feel this is a great chance to be in BARD and to learn about all of this subject and to have all this different perspective from the student, from the teacher, like all the environment here and all the discussion all the time is really like just great. And at the same time, I was working also with this library project, and I start to ask around who would give us books, and I found place for the library, and we decided to make it like more like salon, a culture salon, not just library, and to have event from like reading, a poet event, music event. And my plan is to continue later to make master degree and PhD.
My name's Ahmed, and I'm doing the politics and economics program at PCB. When things started like in my hometown, I just was like, after I finished my high school, so I was like still deciding on what I want to do in my life. And then demonstrations took place in my hometown, and just short time after that, I just left. I went there only to learn Turkish, and then I headed to Cyprus, where I studied for 1 year. And then for some financial reasons, I would say I had to go back to Turkey to find some jobs. And there I worked with my uncle for a year. And then the business was not really going well after a while. So I did many jobs actually. Did kind of public relations in a training company. I worked in tourism. I worked in a hostel. Like the idea was always that I'm gonna just, work, earn some money, and then go back to college. But in Turkey, the reality was different. Was like much harder to earn money and, go back to, college. I think I had the decision in my mind, or the idea to come to Germany in early 2015, especially that my parents managed to move to Germany a year earlier in 2014. And I tried to, come in legal ways, or like without doing all this trip, but it wasn't really possible. I only was left with the option of the Balkan route. I think even though it was really tiring and horrible ending, there are many thoughts that you can think about on the way, like why I'm doing this, why I'm putting risking my life just to, go to another country. But the moment where you reach the other side, when you finish your trip, I think for me, I wasn't thinking about those negative thoughts too much once I arrived to Germany, because for me it was like, okay, this is the next step, the next stage, the next chapter in my life. I've been sent to a camp in the same city of my parents, which is Leipzig. It was like a waiting period, so there's a period of time that you have to wait. I invested this time in online education, and this is how I got to Bard College, through Kairon. I didn't have in my mind that I will end up in kind of liberal art colleges. The thing that I really like in the first year, and in general at Bard, is like the way they serve education. It's like the small classes, the way all the classes are based on discussion or like expressing yourself. It just motivates you to go to the readings and say what you want to say. I pretty much feel that I'm on the right way. Beside my studies at Bard, I also work for Kairon, and I work for the Syrian Youth Assembly. 2 years after finishing Bard, I can see myself doing an internship somewhere and then doing a master's somewhere else. Could be Germany, could be another country.
If I will describe my journey, I would say it's experience, it's learning.
Even though it was tough, but still there was kind of certain type of satisfaction, the joy you take out of having hard times, learning, when you see that you are learning, that you're not broken but you're getting stronger and you're learning more.
Like Syria was life, and then Turkey was this limbo, and I cannot really describe Germany.